Step on it. Come on. I panicked after the job. Dropped the diamonds off at my friend's place. Figured I could pick them up later. Then I got shot.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another of my classic Rutger Hauer film reviews. Today I'm taking a look at the 1991 action science fiction film Wedlock. The film is directed by Louis Teague and stars of course Rutger Hauer. We have Mimi Rogers, Joan Chen, James Remar, Stephen Tobolowsky and Basil Wallace. Now the film focuses on Rutger Hauer's character Frank Warren. We see him at the beginning of the film pulling off a daring diamond heist with his fiancée, played by Joan Chen, and his best friend, played by James Remar. He is then, while they are escaping, betrayed by them both, shot. However, he has already hid the diamonds from them so that they couldn't get their hands on them. So he ends up basically, after he's recovered from being shot, getting sent to prison for 12 years. And the place he is sent to is a brand new prison that's got this new system called Wedlock. Essentially, you wear a collar around your neck with explosives, and there's somebody else in that prison with the same collar around their neck as you. And what that means is if you separate by more than 100 yards, something like that, the collar will explode. So basically it's a way of making the prisoners kind of police each other and guard each other. Because if someone tries to escape, then they're not going to get very far because the collar's going to explode. He finds out from Mimi Rogers' character, Tracy, who ends up in this prison with him. She basically explains to him that she is his wedlock partner. They end up basically escaping together, going on the run, all in the while being chased by a corrupt warden from the prison and his ex-best friend and his ex-fiancée, who are after him for his diamonds. Right, what are my thoughts on Wedlock? Well, this is, I think, peak Rutger Hauer, if you like. I mean, he was at the peak of his powers in the 80s and the early 90s. I think it's fair to say Rutger Hauer. I mean, he's always been great. And this has always been a little bit of a favourite of mine. I just think it's a really nice film, really well put together film, and it's very, very entertaining. Rutger Hauer's character Frank Warren is, again, it just shows his skill as an actor, really, Rutger Hauer, because as I've said before, some films you'll see him with this quiet intensity or this villainous nature about him, and he can play villains and heroes just as effectively. Rutger Hauer is so brilliant at it. But the character he plays here is this, well, somewhat vulnerable. He's not playing a hard man by any stretch of the imagination, which is, it's hard to pull off for a man of his stature. And what I mean by that is he's not a small man, Rutger Hauer. He's very, very tall. And it's sometimes unusual seeing him in a role where he is vulnerable in many ways, because he is in the prison. He gets bullied by Basil Wallace's character, who plays a psycho in the prison. And he is not one of these heroes that just kind of brushes off danger and dives around the place over car bonnets and knocks people out left, right, and centre. He is not that person. He's got brains. He's like explosive specialist, basically. He used to be in the Navy as an explosive specialist. So that's where his skills lie, really, for the most part. So teaming up with Mimi Rogers, it's a great decision in a sense of they've got great chemistry together, two very accomplished actors in their own rights, and they really do bounce off each other really, really well. But like I say, it's not him running around, saving the damsel in distress. They are very much equal partners for the most part here. And there's quite a lot of fun sequences here where they have to quickly catch up with each other or the collar's going to go off. There's a sequence where they kind of get on the wrong buses, or he thinks she's gone on this bus and she hasn't. So he's trying to catch her up, and then she's trying to catch him up, and you got the whole bleeping of the collar going off. So I think it's going to explode any second. There's a great sequence where she gets taken down in a lift, and he's left on the top floor, if you like. So he's got to figure out a way of getting down quickly, otherwise the collars are going to explode as well, sort of thing. So it works quite well in that sense, the whole Wedlock thing. I mean, we have seen the concept of the exploding collars before from, obviously, The Running Man, and I suspect that's where they got the idea from. But they execute it quite well here. I mean, The Running Man, if you like, it only was used briefly at the start of the film, where they, if you like, they realise its full potential here in this film, the whole exploding collar thing. So it's fast paced, this, you know, it's a fun action film. It's got interesting characters. Joan Chen plays the villainous ex-fiancée of Rutger Hauer, who we saw in Salute of the Jugger. She was in that film with Rutger Hauer. James Remar, who at this stage in his career generally just played very similar roles like cops and villains. And he wasn't really given much opportunity to kind of spread his, acting prowess, so to speak. He has kind of grown into quite a solid character actor over the years, James Remar, but he played quite a lot of vanilla characters, at this point in his career, in like the 80s and 90s, like I say, corrupt cops or villains, that type of thing. And it's just like I say, it's a lot of fun to watch. Is this? I just feel like this is like the peak point of his career, Rutger Hauer, where he was just kind of churning out really fun and watchable movies in the late 80s and early 90s sort of thing. And this is definitely another one. It's one of those that sticks in the memory when you kind of watch it. It's fun. I mean, it's quite predictable, as you would expect. It's not necessarily overly original or anything like that. In regards to it being a sci-fi, the only real science fiction element here is these collars and the concept of this prison. Other than that, they're not running around with like laser guns or anything like that. It just, at the beginning, it describes it as sometime in the near future or something like that. But yeah, it definitely works as a fun, of its time action film. This, and it just feels like it's effortless, if you like, to Rutger Hauer. The director Louis Teague was, a well-known director at the time. Certainly, he'd done things like Cujo, Cat's Eye, Jewel of the Nile. So he was very used to directing, like studio films, I suppose. Whereas, from memory anyway, I don't think this was a cinema release. I might be wrong, but I don't think this was ever a cinema release. I think this was direct DVD or something like that. Well, not even DVD, obviously VHS sort of thing. I might be wrong, but I don't remember this being a cinema release. I've never seen it in a cinema, Wedlock. But it's a personal favourite of mine, of Rutger Hauer's. It's another example of, I think, what a good actor he is, because he's very charming in this film. He's got a great sense of humour in this film. He's cracking wisecrack jokes at people. There's a great scene where he's put in like this sensory deprivation tank in prison, which is like a punishment, and the warden kind of asks him if he's had enough, and he pretends to be a seal. It just makes you giggle. You know what I mean? When you see that cheeky side of Rutger Hauer, that fun side of Rutger Hauer, which you don't get to see a lot in his movies, but when he does it, it's really a treat, and he does it, consistently in this film. He plays quite a cheeky, fun character here, not the quiet, strong, heroic type. He plays kind of against type here, but he does it very, very well. So, yeah, Wedlock is a fun film to check out if you've never seen it, or revisit it if you have seen it. I really thoroughly enjoyed revisiting this one, and it's one I strongly recommend. So thanks for joining me for this review, guys. Let me know if there's any other Rutger Hauer films you want me to take a look at, and I will of course be back with plenty more content on the channel very, very soon.